This is the real cost of faking your own pleasure. Hey wild ones, I'm Lucy and this is Pussy Powered. In today's video, I'm going to talk with you about what really happens when you fake your own pleasure. I cannot tell you how many women have told me that they are so afraid to disappoint their lovers or to look incompetent in their own pleasure that they just fake it. In fact, the statistics alone show that men think their partners are having orgasms far more frequently than women are actually having them. We hear a lot about the wage gap, but we don't hear as much about the orgasm gap. And as if women missing out on their own orgasms isn't enough, there are also bigger, deeper consequences to faking our own pleasure. The first big thing is that you break trust with yourself. Anytime that we are not in alignment with our truth, not being true to ourselves, not being authentic, we are chipping away at our own integrity and breaking the trust with ourselves. And then guess how this shows up in the rest of your life? It shows up in ways like being afraid to take that next leap, not trusting your inner voice, not knowing the distinction between your voice and the voice of fear. It looks like second guessing yourself, holding yourself back, playing small, feeling like there's something in you that you want so badly to express that just can't seem to find its way out. And you're also breaking trust with your pussy, which can make it really difficult to reach orgasm when you are self-pleasuring or masturbating, and absolutely impacts any possibility of having orgasms with your partner, whether that's through penetrative sex or oral sex or any other way. As I've mentioned in other videos, your pussy has her own aliveness, her own rich, full, deep, radiant energy. And if you stand a chance at accessing that, you've got to build a relationship with your pussy. And that begins with being honest with her, honoring her, not pretending that she's feeling something that she is not. Because every time you do this, you disconnect more and more and more from your pussy, which is meant to be a deep well of your own personal power and expression and authenticity. And finally, if you are faking your own pleasure, you are creating an increasing rift between you and your lover. It's like putting a band-aid over a deep wound that is festering and rotting underneath. It's not going to fix anything. Might make him feel good or make you feel a sense of relief in the moment, but in the long run, it is a slippery slope of a habit to get into. So, what can you do instead? One, you can begin by acknowledging to yourself that you have been doing this. In this part of the process, a lot of self-forgiveness is likely necessary, especially if this has been happening for years or your entire life. One exercise that I like to recommend to all of my wild queens and goddesses is to take a mirror and place it right in front of their pussies and look at their pussies and really take in all of the detail and see how beautiful and unique they are. Then repeating the Ho'oponopono phrases to their pussies. Thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And if you get really present with yourself, with your pussy when you're doing this exercise, you will probably feel some big feels bubbling up. And you will feel such a sense of relief and love and acceptance. Your pussy definitely will. Another thing you can do is have a conversation about this with your lover. Let him know, hey, you know what? I know that you think I've been having all those orgasms all this time, or I've been really feeling it and I just haven't. And get really vulnerable with him about why. Don't blame him and don't put the responsibility on him. Fully own your decision and your commitment. Share what is behind your decision to fake it. Is it fear? Fear of rejection? Is it a fear that your lover won't feel loved by you? Is it a fear of conflict? Maybe a fear of taking full responsibility for yourself and your pleasure. And maybe, just maybe, you have been putting way too much responsibility on your lover to please you in the first place, and now you are ready to take ownership for yourself. So as you have this conversation with your lover, please be sure to keep the focus on you taking responsibility and never blaming. Now on that note, this also reminds me that if you ever ever have a request or a need that you would like to be fulfilled in whatever way by your lover, make your requests clearly known. Your lover is not a mind reader, and by this point, if you've been together for a long time, there's probably a lot of assumptions, a lot of expectations, many of which may not be serving your relationship, your pleasure, their pleasure, your connection. So be bold and initiate this really important conversation. And it's not a one-time conversation either. It is a continuous open dialogue. The third thing I recommend doing is incorporating a self-pleasure ritual into your life every day in some form. Many times what's missing for our pleasure within our sex life is our familiarity with our own pleasure in the first place. And especially within mindsets and beliefs that masturbation is evil or wrong or bad, this pressure and this disconnection from our own pleasure and sexuality, from our own pussies, runs rampant. If your partner is the only one that you ever experience any sexual pleasure with and you never do this on your own and explore yourself on your own, then of course he or she is gonna feel hella pressured, like it's their responsibility to please you, and then if they don't do it, of course they're gonna take it personally. But if you are stepping up and you are taking full responsibility for your pleasure and your connection to your pussy, then what's actually gonna happen is your partner is gonna benefit so much from that. For me personally, until I started doing a daily self-pleasure ritual, exploring my own pussy, seeing what feels good, what strokes, what pressure, resensitizing my own pussy to pleasure, focusing loving energy into my own pussy. When I began doing all of that consistently, then and only then did I begin to have orgasms during sex. And we're talking about well over after a decade of being married to my husband. So it's not like I experienced this new dick and then my pleasure is like, no, it's the same dick and it's the same pussy. What has changed is my connection to my pussy, which has opened up the channels of pleasure when we are together. I seriously cannot encourage you highly enough to begin some kind of self-pleasure ritual. Now, I also really want to emphasize how much patience and self-compassion is required to really connect with your own pleasure. It does not happen overnight. It does not happen over a month. It may happen over years even. For me, it was an unfolding over the course of years, but then when I really got focused on it, it took me several months of consistent daily self-pleasuring exploration to get to the point where I could have an orgasm during sex. So please be patient with yourself, be consistent, be very self-loving and self-accepting of wherever you are when you show up to your self-pleasure practice. And stay present, fully present with yourself and with your pussy, with your body, anytime that you are doing your self-pleasure practice. And by the way, if you want some more ideas on how to show your pussy some more love, check out my playlist titled Pussy Love. And I've also got another playlist specifically for sex and relationships. So if that's something that interests you, definitely be sure to check that out too. All right, wild ones, that is it for today. Honor thy pussies. I would love to hear what you have to say about this topic. What has been your experience? Have you faked it? Are you faking it? And what are you gonna do about that? If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for more videos on sexual empowerment and healing for women. In the meantime, here's to your unleashing for a pussy-powered life.